Welcome to the podcast Rise and Play. I am Sophie Vaux, your podcast host. I bring together leaders, entrepreneurs, fund makers, investors, and educators who are here to make a change in the industry for a brighter and healthier future of the games we will make and how we will make them. We're here to start a conversation because listening and asking the hard questions is sometimes enough to inspire change in us, to take the leap too. Let's begin. Today I am delighted to welcome Ivanna Pogrebniak on my podcast. Ivanna is currently the Executive Director of AB Games. Her background is in tax lawyer and business development consulting. She has 12 years of experience working in IT, service businesses, and 3 years working in the gaming industry. Now she is an active member of the Ukrainian IT and Gamedev community, in a Ukrainian IT cluster ecosystem development, and also a driver of Ukrainian Gamedev Association. She is running currently an initiative to help the community named as AB Library that she runs as well with the company. So hi Ivana, how are you?
Hi, Sophia. I'm okay, thank you.
Really pleased to have you. Before we get into the question, I'd like to understand more from your whole journey. You started with tax, lawyer, business development. How did you end up in games from this background? What happened?
Oh, actually, it was like a long story, and just to make a long story short, I would tell that. So, in my background, as you have already told, I was a lawyer and a tax lawyer, a consultant, and AB Games was one of my clients. I provided some development services to them as tax lawyers, and my day, just this project, this client became so huge that I decided to focus only on this project. So I transferred all my other clients to my colleagues and focused only on AB Games. And in 6-7 months, AB Games owner made me an offer to join the company as CEO of the company. So actually, I was interested in the business. I was involved in IT service before AB Games, and I wanted to start something from scratch. Like when I joined to IT service, I finished my career like a partner of a law firm. Then I decided to start something from scratch. I joined to IT service company and provided them some legal and business development services and spent there like 9 years of expertise in IT and 4 years in company itself. Then I decided to provide to work as a freelance as a business consultant, and then AB Games became one of my clients. So I decided to start from the very beginning when you want to know something more, when you're interested in something, this interest is my inner driver. And so I just know this IT service, and I was okay with it. Everything was quite familiar to me, and gaming industry was something new, curious, a child. So I joined the company as a lawyer. And then in 7 or 6 months, I was made an offer and to be a CEO. And it was like, challenge for me. I was very glad, to be frank, to have this role to try my new skills. So, yeah.
It's awesome. And I have to say, it's quite impressive. After you said 6-7 months, you had an offer to become CEO. I'm really curious, how did that happen? It's, fast forward promotion. Yeah, how did that offer come? What did they see? How did they even pitch to you to become a CEO of a company?
Actually, I've finished some part of law tasks we agreed, like all my commits on law things. Then I have some spare time. So we decided that perhaps it would be a good idea, like AB Games the times was like a small studio, and the owner decided, and actually the owner is lead game designer here, and he's a product owner of two new project, and actually he suggested me to take the responsibility for all the supporting processes like recruiting, HR, accounting, legal, administrative things. So some of them I was familiar due to my experience in previous business. Some of them was quite new for me. For example, recruiting in the gaming industry quite different. So I need to make a team to hire new people and to make them working as one team. And it was quite interesting for me. And one more challenge was to discover how the game is actually developed. What are the process? What is the main business process? How it's structured? What every role in the company is responsible for? What model they use, like Kanban or some waterfall, to actually manage the projects. So there were a lot of information, but it was very interesting times.
So, as you've been now 3 years CEO of AB Games Company, so I don't know when it started, but on the side there's also AB Library, which is the whole database of knowledge sharing with the community. I understand you're also at the head of that. Can you tell me more how it started? Why did you start this? And what's your motivation?
I like your question. Two of my personal values are development and sharing. So here in Ukraine, we develop IT clusters, as you have already told in my introduction of, and this IT cluster in service IT business all around the country, where are the main values also development and sharing. So I was involved in all this community, and this my previous experience inspired me for such a social project. And I'm just believe in this law of communicating vessels ecosystem, if to paraphrase. You just share something with others, and the whole system contributes. You also contribute as a part of the system. So as for me, it's like in this way sharing is working. And I also, one of my personal values, I wouldn't say it's value, it's is this driver is development. So all the time I'm this development process, like a lifelong learning. As a curious child, everything I have to start something new all the time and discovering the world around. And actually, founder came with the idea. It was his childhood dream to have a huge library of art books. And then we just sat together and developed this idea, this vision. So we broadened this vision to a place where the game community is gathering together, where we can meet interesting people from global game dev. We make podcasts there. Everyone can follow us on Instagram, where we share some narrative stories on art books and events we have. Actually, I have a very good team, yes, that I can rely on, and they do a great job, a big job. We decided that it will be not only like a library where you can come and see and touch and read this art book. You just It's like a platform with events, with other people, with like platform for sharing of experience, sharing of knowledge. And actually, then we decided that our audience is very narrow, like only people who are working inside. We need to develop this as their ecosystem. So I remember that IT service community was very friendly. It was very strong. And when I came here to game dev in Ukraine, I just feel that it's not so like a huge wall that is standing, and it is not so, yeah, it's friendly, but it's not so strong. So one of the mission like inside me somewhere was to make this community so strong that we can be we can move the wall around the world, something like this. So we need the place for this community, and the idea was that we can take and make this project a library for the whole community. Everybody can come here and to work here. And there is this idea of diversity. We wanted when we wanted here cinema, futurology, science, fiction, arts, games to be mixed. And in this mix, something wonderful, something amazing can be born. So that was the idea, and everybody who is in game dev community can come and work here, be inspired of those accommodation we have for the project, because it's 600 meters with very beautiful view on the main river of Ukraine, Dnipro, on the 10th floor on the hill where you have very wonderful landscape and a lot of art books. We are going to finish this year with more than 1,000 of art books. So everybody can come and use this benefit. And I believe that due to this, something new, something like new unicorn will be born in Ukraine. That's like the system contributes. You just contribute to the system, to the ecosystem, and something will be born in you, and something great. I believe in it.
Mm. I can also relate to that, where especially like creating this ecosystem of giving knowledge, to your community, having maybe creativity, tinkering with the community, with also the materials. As I understand, like 1,000 books, it's a lot. So it's very inspiring, probably as a space. So it makes me really curious if I go to Ukraine to visit this place, because it looks like a bit. I can imagine a magical library, where you can just get lost in the books and get inspired, and maybe give birth to a new idea. So I can relate to that, and I think it sounds great. Very inspiring mission, very nice as well impact, I would say, for the community in Ukraine, dev community, with the dream, that a unicorn, a big hit, comes from Ukraine, and that's very sweet to hear all of that. I'm touched by that mission that as well you have, and what you've built as well with AB for the whole community of Ukraine and game dev.
Thank you.
And between then the time of AB Library and AB Games, because you're still the CEO of AB Games, how do you manage the times and priority? How do you organize yourself?
Uh, Actually, I use some instruments for organizing, but the main thing is, I have 3 kids and a dog and a husband, and I have a demand for a self-development, and that's why I need to manage my time very diligently, because, this wheel of a balance should be like a wheel, not like star of like with some one sphere to be full and the other can be can suffer. So actually, I decided for myself that weekends and all the evenings are for my family, friends, and hobbies. I'm playing Han. I started to take the lessons because it was I just remember it was almost New Year, and I was lying in the bed and just thinking that, oh my God, all the time I wanted to play some music, some instrument, and I like as much hunk. And then I just went to look what's going on in Facebook pages on my friends, and I found the message that was advertisement of some post of one of them that she is selling hunk. It was 1 a.m. and I decided to write to her that I will I want to come and to try to play, and she answered me that you can come. Well, let's come. So I came and I bought Hang, and then I decided to take these lessons. I found a coach who is doing it with me. So it's my hobby, and it takes me every day 15 minutes of a day, and very good. I would say like a sport for brain, because I just noticed the brain is working very strange. So the first time when you are doing something or just studying, learning some new melody, it's so hard. It's so I just so hard for me. So I'm thinking where I should put my finger on this instrument. And the other day, the next day, everything is quite okay. The next day is better. So like that's why I need this time for myself, and I like to read a lot. I like to study all the time. I'm studying somewhere. I'm reading a lot, so I need this time. That's why evenings and weekends, family mornings are for me. So I'm doing some yoga, or I'm just have some running, and the rest is my work. It's like think is the best for me to be sure that everything is okay. I'm just have this feeling that you just close your eyes and see what's going on in your body, and the body will all the time will tell you the truth of what's going on. If something is like hidden somewhere, something is wrong, you will know that, oh, you need to spend more time with your family, or you need to have a good result on work. Just take this time for your work, or you need a little more sport. Just go to swim somewhere or something like this. So I'm listening something in my body and asking all the time, what is the best for me now? So all these coaching questions are very helpful in my everyday routine. Yeah. Once my son asked me what I'm doing for a living and what does it mean exactly. And I would say that it was the hardest and simplest question in a time, because I'm doing everything, but it's very hard to explain what exactly I'm doing, and perhaps how my friend all the time my friends are wondering how can I find the time for all my activities. So it's like a challenge.
That's impressive. And you mentioned a few points I'd like to reflect a bit with you. So I think the first is about the discipline. I am really impressed by you have, I would say, almost three roles in your life, like mother, wife, so personal life, and CEO, and then AB library, and taking care of yourself. And you just described briefly a routine that you have for yourself, which is very important to establish when your time is, scarce. You have to organize yourself. So I think this is one takeaway. I hear from you that it's not accidental, it's very intentional how you spend your time in things that matter for you, and you have clarity as well why you use the time in this way. So that's the first point. And second point, which I find quite interesting, is listening to your body. And I think this is something that I hear not so often mentioned as well by leaders or CEO, where you have to check with yourself, what do you need? We live in this world really of data, where we are trusting data, external factors to hear what you need now, and a bit disconnected more from our emotions, from what we need. And you seem to talk more about that. That you trust your feelings, you trust what your body tells you, and then act accordingly based on what happens. So that's very good as well internal system, to how to balance all of this. And that leads me then to the follow-up question about all this discipline that you have. What do you give credits to today to make this all happen? Because it sounds to me, I don't have a family yet, but I can't imagine all the work on top of that, looking also at my life and my routine to manage. So what has helped you manage all this routine, like to have your time for yourself in the morning, or to make sure you can focus on work and, and not worry about the other areas of life?
Oh yeah, sure. Actually, I like my children. I like my husband, but I also like to work. I like to spend the time with them, but I also like to spend the time working, because it's like part of me, and it's about my self-development. Yeah, and I would say that there are some people. I remember that I made this list of all my roles, and this like it's very interesting instrument that you just make four columns, and in one column you just you just write down everything what do you do, then what do you want to do, then what do you have to do, then what you don't want to do, and then what you should do to come to the next level. And once a year, perhaps twice a year, it depends on the year, I just make these map of all. I just count that I have 9 roles, in my social life. And then, it just when you have everything, all the stuff in your head, it's very hard to see what is exactly in your life. And when you put everything on the paper, you just see the whole picture, and then you understand what you can delegate somebody, what inspires you and give you energy, so you just leave it to yourself, what can develop you. And the idea is that the best thing you can do is everything that you do in those last column, when what should I do to go to the next level. And regarding my personal life, perhaps some home life, I just shared some of my obligations with another people. I have a nanny who helps me with my kids, and actually now we have a new one for the smallest son. He's a year and a half, and for the next two elder children, we have a nanny for almost 12 years, and she was all the time with me. And actually, I have a person who helps me in house, with some housework. But the only thing I left for myself is cooking, because it inspires me. I like to cook, and it gives me some energy. It's like the same thing is in my job. Like when I'm working, I just see what should I do like a CEO. What can I do like I don't know, person who is in charge of some legal or finance block, consulting or taking advice from our accountant or a lawyer. And I'm trying to delegate some tasks, so it gives an opportunity for people to develop, and it gives you some spare time to work on those areas where you see that it will be some development for the company, to develop myself in the role of CEO. So I just share some instrument and some thoughts that delegation is one of them thing you can find the time for everything you want. As my husband like to repeat, that the question is in priority.
It's amazing the tools you have shared. I would take that away as well. And for other people in big roles of responsibility with a personal life, just this mental model that you describe when you break down in different questions, like I would say coaching questions, like what should you do, what gives you energy, and select and delegate, cut, and applying that as well to the personal life, which is not something we talk about often, but there's a reality of responsibility also as a mother. That's also how you organize yourself, which is very valuable also to understand, like how does it enable you to take your function as CEO and also be accomplished woman with your passion, the things you like to continue. So I think it's a great example, shows a lot of discipline as well, how to get the life you want by doing this work. Quick question about it. How did you come up with this model? Is it like through coaching that you get that, or you learn by yourself reading? How did you create this mental model for yourself over the years?
Actually, it was because of some reading. Yes, I was reading some different books, and actually, I'm deep into psychology and coaching. And now I'm learning and studying to be a business and personal coach. I
Wow.
decided to implement coaching methods in management of the company. So I just want to, but some of like basics, some basics is from the books actually, and some advice of my friends who are also in business. And last year I was in a good project. It was a study of coaching university. They give very good practice. It's not about only about your mind. It's about three components. So they give work with your body, with your brain, and actually with your spirit. So intuition. So they gave a lot of instruments of these. And this practice or this instrument was born and is developed every time. when I can find something new to add there to this map to help me what is going on in my life today and what do I want. I just remember one of the question of my psychologist. He just told me, Ivana, you have all these now, yes. And what do you have? What do you want to have? I just told him, I want to have like this one. And he told me, but you can't come doing the same things to another goal. You just need to do different things to make something new, try something new to come to the new
Mhm.
goal. And this question is also like one of the question I used to ask on myself. Yeah.
Wow, super nice. I want to say again, Ivana, I'm really impressed about how you've grown yourself, like really self-motivated and with these materials and you apply for yourself. So thanks a lot for sharing.
Oh, thank you.
All right, switching gears a bit then on another topic, which also is important for me and at Rise and Play is diversity and inclusion. And so also a big topic in gaming right now. But I wanted to know more your position about it. How are you approaching it with AB Games or personally? What are the actions you're taking? Tell me more about that.
A very nice question, very deep, I would say. And actually, regarding AB games, we do not have specific strategy focusing on diversity and inclusion, but it's like it is in development, and it's like it's
Mhm.
somewhere in the air. So I can say that we have some focus, but as you see, you can see in the from the project of AB Library, it's like a core value of the project, this diversity. I just believe that something new, some innovation can be born due to diversity. And that's why I believe in equal possibilities for everybody. I believe in people. Actually, I'm. If you would ask me, Ivana, what CEO you are, I would say I'm CEO about the people. So I like this your idea, your people-centric approach. I share it a lot, and I would say that I believe in people, and that
Mhm.
everybody has possibilities to come to create to build something new, and everybody come to this world to create. Like every of person is a creator. Like if to say perhaps the smallest one, the creator of his life, and we can have other examples, but I share also all the principles of diversity and inclusion, and we try to work with different ages. We try to work with both genders,
Mhm.
and I wouldn't say that we have specific focus, but I can say that I feel that there is some discrimination of it. So I like and share the values of diversity, and I would say we will implement more developing the company, and we would like to go out from for the borders of Ukraine and to have another people from another countries working here while we will implementing our strategy as international company, as a global company, and we have such a view, such a vision, but in some time to come to the next step.
Thanks for sharing this. And then a bit on more your personal anecdotes. So you entered in games with a position quite important, like in law, but especially as a CEO. And I wanted to ask you if ever in your experience it's been a challenge for you that you could feel as a female CEO, whether in your own organization or towards the community. What has been your experience there?
Definitely, it was a challenge for me to come from another industry. IT industry, service industry, quite differs a lot from game industry, where there are so many creative people working here, so many interesting people. Just game industry combines artists, like narratives, writers, game designers, like analytics. so huge mix of different specialities here. It was a big challenge for me just to feel the time okay. You know, this basic principle, you are okay. You are not deep into it, but you will know, you will discover everything. You will know how it's working. You just need some time. And I would say that it was the hardest thing when it wasn't connected some other people, but it was some thoughts in me when you just ask yourself that you just feel that I don't know what they are talking about, so I need to know what they are talking about. Then I just go and ask some of colleague, some of friends for just to explain me how does it work, why it should be like this but not this. So it was the main challenge. Yeah.
As you shared again already about the challenges, maybe for the audience to understand more as your role today as a CEO, can you share maybe what are the main tracks that cover, your responsibility and your work as a CEO?
So actually, together with owner, we are working on the vision, on the strategy of the company. Also, I'm responsible for recruiting, HR, legal, finance, administrative things in the office. I'm work with actually. I decided that I like to talk with people, so I take some teams in a coaching like one to one as HR just to know what people are living with, what inspire them, what problems they have, what are their thoughts about their development here in the company and in general as a personality. So, and we together with HR we make such talks with teams, but I'm responsible for one part of them, two projects and one like 70 people I have. But it's not responsibility of a CEO. It's just my wish to be closer to people. So actually, that's it. I'm not working with production. So we have producers separately, and producers responsible for every game. They're responsible for they have some their KPIs for their games, and
Mhm.
also I have some KPI as CEO of the company in general.
Yeah, and I would say if you were responsible of KPI of games, there must be something a bit wrong. I don't think you should be anyway that close. So it totally makes sense what you're responsible for. And through these years as a CEO, what's your biggest mistake that you could made in this role, and also what you learned from it?
Oh, I would say that perhaps my personal expectation were my biggest mistake because sometimes you just know that you have your own expectation. You want to see some situation like this or some solution like this, and it should be managed in respect to other people and actually the situation if it is regarding the situation in itself. So because it's not only my point of view, there are some situations of people which are triggering you, so a personal situation, and to reveal it and to cope with it, I would say it's my personal challenge. So I just believe that inner conflict
Mhm.
shows the way of my development and my rise. So I need just to accept the situation or as a person or as is, or to try to find in what way should I rise, where should I found this pain, because pain is something that showed me the direction to my development. So I would say that I just to manage the expectation. All my mistakes I have is my because I wasn't able to manage my expectation at that times.
Yeah, it's also wisdom. I think one thing I will remember what you said now, like through the pain. A pain is a signal that this is your opportunity of growth.
Yeah.
The natural thing is to look away, it's like, oh, stay away from the pain, but you seem to do the opposite. It's like, if it's here, it's for a good reason and it's to help me develop further. So it's great. It shows a lot of wisdom. And resilience, because the natural again is to move away from the pain, but you understand that it's for your development and seem very committed to it. So that's very impressive. Again, part of the self-management of a CEO, very inspiring. And the stress also is part of life. I understand that you're also very busy with many things and things that you don't control. So, what are your methods, tools to cope with the stress, of daily life and your responsibilities?
Actually, I have different methods to cope with my stress. And perhaps I need some time for self reflection. And to have this, I have swimming, running, and yoga. Sometimes I try to meditate, but I can say now that it is my way to cope with stress. Perhaps just some cardio and like running and swimming, and just some walk to have a fresh air to make your head fresh. And these breathing techniques, they also helps a
Mhm.
lot. And now there is a book, Physical Intelligence, and there are a lot of different techniques I have to work with stress using breathing techniques. I like them a lot.
I'll check it out, this book. I don't know about it.
I will send you a link.
Yeah, awesome. I don't know about it, but it sounds interesting. I've been doing also a lot of yoga, meditation, and running, and I can relate to that. It's free your mind. Sometimes we are too much in our head, and we need to go back to the body and be present. Centering ourselves back to our body and our breath. Very good practices.
Yeah, and also I have a psychotherapy and his coaching sometimes when I need to discover what's going on and I need to go out from some mental model. I need another person who can help me, who can ask me some question, just for me to
Mhm.
see the situation from another point of view.
That's great. Thanks for sharing. So I have been in with this psychotherapy too. It's really funny as you share, what you're doing, but I have a lot of similar things. And for the same reason, to show blind spots, because we are limited with our own thinking and our own mind. And sometimes where we have specialists in different areas, whether, coaching, self-development, but more psychotherapy, where it's really questioning deeper things, beliefs you have of your life, of how you should run your life, that comes in the discussion. This is a moment of growth. It's really funny, actually, that you mentioned these tools really openly, because I can tell you as well that I share some of them like very openly. So thanks for sharing again. It's great.
Thank you.
All right. And to close the podcast, I have three hot questions. So I start with the first. So, what are the next big steps for you with AB Games, and how can we help?
We are in the process of developing new hits, and now we're working on some new projects. It's like NDA, and I
Mhm.
can give more details. But actually, we expect it's launching at the end of this year, I hope. And also, AB Library, we are going to develop it to make it as a portal to connect the world game dev industry with Ukrainian one, and just to make Ukrainians developer, to make them closer to any other world famous artist or game designers or game developer from all over the world through live talks as we have with you and podcasts and some meetups. And like actually the biggest point is to make the company this step, I would say not step but jump to become international. But it's like a challenge. But the next step is just to make two new games.
And where you are today, who was your biggest inspiration, as a role model, whether it's in games or, fictional or real? What inspired you to be you, today?
Actually, I have several people who inspires me a lot.
Hmm.
If to talk about gaming industry, I like Ilkka Paananen and Supercell as a company. I admire like both Ilkka as a CEO and Supercell as a company. His role model for me as a CEO. If to talk about other people, I would say that, perhaps they are more spiritual, who just help me to look at the world simpler, to take the things around simpler, and to some people from yoga. My coach, These are people who just helped me to open my eyes for the world around. And also there are some businessmen in Ukrainian IT industry and world IT industry, which I admire. And
And at last, if you had one thing you wish to change right now in the industry, what would it be?
actually, no, here in Ukraine, we have so many talented people. And I wish Ukraine could be one of the top locations of the world's game industry one day. So with this aim, we set up Ukrainian Gamedev UA Association and just show to the world that here in Ukraine we have so many talents and our talents can produce new hits, world hits.
Mm, totally agree. I'm connected actually quite well with the Ukrainian community and amazing talents, amazing people as well to work with. So I can double down on this message.
Oh, thank you.
All right, we reached the end, Ivana. It was a great pleasure, and thanks again for sharing so openly, your journey, your life, how you manage your very busy life, but also with serenity, wisdom, and discipline. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you, Sophia, just for inviting me to be your guest. I'm very pleased with it. And I hope that your project will also prosper and develop.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Thanks for listening to this new episode of Raise and Play podcast. If you enjoyed the content and want to support what we're doing, rate and review the podcast, spread the word about it. If you'd like to contribute to the change too, reach out to me on LinkedIn for a collaboration. You'll find all the rest of the content on riseandplay.io, including my free masterclass on conscious leadership. Until the next time.